Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the Mize Breakroom. My name is Marc Swearengin, Director of Business Development and Marcom here at Mize. Today, I have Eric Merkey, one of our shareholders here. And today, we're going to talk about our relationship management program. Pretty excited to talk about this today. So, Eric, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Marc. It's great to be here. It's
Yeah.
my first podcast, so I'm excited to kind of see how this goes and get into some of the details.
Right. So, Eric, tell us a little bit about yourself. You've been, your history here at Mize and all of that.
Started back with Mize May of 2013. It's been great since the day I moved here. Love the company, but kind of where I started, and things were a little bit different then. We were smaller, but I started in tax, and then I had a little bit of accounting services experience, and it was at that point where we're at the size where you're kind of doing a little bit of everything and seeing a little bit of everything, which in some ways kind of expedites the ability to become a relationship manager because you see a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say at the time we probably had 6 relationship managers, and of those, as you talk about Carol, Casal, Brian Phillips, Andrew Spikes, Rick Patton, people that have been with the company for years and seen us grow. And so that base knowledge of what a relationship manager was kind of inherent and built over years.
Mm-hmm.
And, probably being here, I think it was about 3 years, I became a relationship manager. And at the time, I'm not sure it was quite even a designated role.
Mm-hmm.
It was just kind of starting to fill a need of where this is all going, because over the years we've experienced growth and we've experienced significant growth in short periods of time.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the problem with that is the amount of clients that you now have and are bringing in, but you have the same amount of relationship managers. And so, as I became a relationship manager and as time went on, it became more and more difficult to consult the same way that we'd always had before. Because prior, we'd go in and we'd drop into offices, right? We'd say, hey, Carol, hey, Brian, how are you handling this? How are you seeing things?
Mm-hmm.
And as we've grown, one of the things that I kind of brought up to the other shareholders last year is like, I feel like in some ways, especially since kind of COVID, we all kind of isolated a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And as we got back, saying, are we all consulting the same way? Are we all using the same spreadsheet? Someone will come up with a great idea on looking at a certain scenario or a certain project, and then someone else is recreating it. I said, are we really, optimizing the value we provide, and are we consistent in how we do things?
It's like the relationship manager kind of organically grew. It was just a thing that happened, filling the need. I find that it's a unique position in a service company like ours, like that middle of the wheel, right? The kind of hub and all the things coming across it. So it sounds like it evolved, and it's like now you're taking it to a more formalized approach. And how can you be consistent on that? So maybe we kind of talk about how is this evolving and what are you guys looking to do?
Well, absolutely. And even backing up, maybe a better question is, well, what exactly does a relationship manager do? From one person to the other, that's not going to be exactly the same. But in essence, what a relationship manager does is you're overseeing a client's account, right?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be the fiduciary of their experience at Mize. And that's going to come in the form and fashion of, are we providing them the services that we have always, at a high level, that we've always been able to provide our clients? So first and foremost, our primary duty is to make sure that our clients are getting the best experience possible, the consistency, the accuracy, everything that we've always been able to provide as we've started small and as we've grown. Our job's to take care of our clients and make sure they're happy.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to that, you also serve as a consultant to your clients. So, there's no really idle periods in the McDonald's business. There's always something going on, whether it's initiatives for significant reinvestment. You go through times when there's PPP,
Mm-hmm.
payroll protection program, the ERTC credits, other initiatives, constant acquisitions. There's no limit to the amount of consulting that goes on. So, outside of overseeing and managing the account, making sure they're happy, making sure they're getting the services they need, you are also that consultant to them to help them navigate these difficult waters. And a lot of the things we do when you talk about acquisitions or estate planning or planning for the future, these can be a complex item and things that are very important to them, and quite frankly, monetarily and emotionally, have great significance to
Hmm.
them. To kind of just sum all that up is you start with you're the fiduciary of their account. You're helping them with their needs, and then even the biggest impact is really kind of solidifying that great relationship that you have with them, and then that will really, as many people said before, we don't do a lot of marketing. It's word of mouth,
Hmm.
and I think it all comes back down to that
That's
relationship.
great. I love the idea of a fiduciary,
Yeah.
kind of oversee. That's great. It also seems that this is a role like, obviously this is an accounting services, right? Financial services company. So you come here and if you're an accountant, you know what you're doing every day. Sounds like the relationship manager is not that. Like every day is different because they have to juggle these things. And as you point about the consultant, it sounds like it's, a day in the life is not a day in the life. Every day is a little bit different. Is that fair?
Well, that's absolutely fair. And as we've grown and we've grown, and it feels like we continue to grow and grow and grow. Um, certain services are easier to streamline. Accounting services, for the most part, doing the same thing from client to client. Payroll, doing the same thing from client to client. Accounts payable, same thing from client to client. And so when you scale and you kind of prepare for growth, um, that transition's a little bit easier because you're not changing the processes. You're changing and adding personnel. You're making processes more efficient, but nonetheless, the skill of what you do remains the same at just a higher level. Um, Consulting, relationship management, there are no two different days, and I think I've given the example in the past. Um, you know, I may be here on a Monday, and then I might need to travel on Tuesday to meet a client, potentially having financial issues, and instead of kind of piecemealing this through 2 or 3 weeks of back and forth emails, calls, we may just need to go down there in one day and sit in a room for 6 hours, address these things, address the changes we need to make. Maybe I need to meet with their banker. Maybe we need to do a refinance, but let's just sit down. Let's get it all done, figure everything out. And, that might be one day of the life. Okay. So, well, that's not what I do every day. I might come back the next day and I'll be looking at maybe I'm handling issues or problems with that potentially a client had with payroll, or maybe I'm doing tax returns or doing looking at some acquisition planning. So to say I know what I'm going to do on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I might have a plan, and probably about 25% of that plan gets executed because really you're nimble. You're really
Yes.
nimble. I'm going to get a call, 2 or 3 calls, and this is really what makes the job great. This is not a complaint. But you're going to get a call and it's going to be, hey, I was offered a deal and McDonald's needs to know by the end of the day if I can do it. Well, I can pretty much put anything down I was doing
Right.
and jump on that. But to me, it's fun. It's fun. It's the unpredictability. It creates a little flexibility around when you work. You're always not always on call, but you always kind of need to be ready to assist your clients when the time presents.
Hmm.
And so really, yeah, it's no 2 days are the same. And quite honestly, as we'll get a little further into this conversation, a lot of our relationship managers and our newer relationship managers have different backgrounds as well.
Hmm.
So some might have other duties that they're doing, and some might be just strictly relationship management. So yeah, no 2 days look alike, and that can add some stress. But I think as time goes on, most people find that it's almost more rewarding for it to be that way. It's more exciting.
Yeah, you started to mention that, as we have a growing team here for that. How hard is it to like recruit for this type of thing in an accounting firm?
Well, it's an interesting question, and it's and I think there's some answers that really, um, I think make the group better because yeah, your question of, well, how do you find these people?
Yeah.
How do you identify them? And I think one of the things you look at is maybe someone's coming from an accounting services role, or maybe they got a tax background, or something else. Maybe they come from the outside, from a big firm where they've worked with large Fortune 500 companies. I think you're quickly able to see one of the things we look at is how will they and how have they been able to um, manage client relationships from the standpoint it may be limited as an accountant
Hmm.
or a tax person. Um, but seeing how they do, I think you can quickly see who has those capabilities of not being intimidated by the process, and even wanting to kind of, I really enjoy. It's great sitting here and pumping out financial statements every month, but I'm really enjoying getting. I got to meet this client, and now we're communicating. Like I'm really enjoying those things, and then once you kind of get an idea of who those people are, you start to challenge them with projects that will come along as they begin to do more of the consulting aspect.
Hmm.
Um, so if I've got someone in accounting services, shows a lot of ambition, really great with clients already. We start bringing them in and say, hey, okay, well, eventually you're going to have to start doing some, these cash flow projections or looking at deals, and you start bringing them that. And then I think you quickly learn that, and in most cases, it's those people that we've identified have really embraced wanting to make that transition to more of a
Yeah.
relationship manager, and not all of them do it in a full capacity either.
It's an interesting, as you're talking through that, you know, what a great opportunity for our clients, because our clients are in people business, right? Their business is dealing with people and all of that. And so we're not just their accountants. We've created that interpersonal relationship with them,
Right.
what they're used to. So we're no longer just like a vendor. You're really a partner to them, someone that trusted.
And you're exactly right. I'm not sure if it's something I've emphasized yet, but I truly think to this day, this is what has always set us apart from some of our competitors. Our competitors they do a fine job. They do great work, and we really respect them and appreciate them. But a lot of times, some of the clients that have come over to us, it has been because they don't feel like that they're getting the level of consulting that they need,
Hmm.
and I understand that, because at the end of the day, an accountant's main role is there's work that has to get out of the door. There's deadlines, and so that can become a priority, and a lot of oversight or negligence can come in the area of are we equipped in a way to consult and help these people with the big issues. And so I think that's initially really what set us apart. And even if you go back even further in our early days with Carol and Linda, they really they took Mize to I think really the first big steps of kind of our growth phase, because they understood from the get go that this is a relationship business.
Hmm.
I mean, in the McDonald's world, even dealing with the corporation, it's all about relationships. And so we grew that, and we always had a strong middle layer of of having those people that could make it even better and do that. And again, as the growth has come on, it's not as easy to just say we've got relationship managers now. Kind of probably going into our next question, or where we're going next is, we need to formalize what this
Yeah.
process looks like.
I will tell you, talking to people out there, clients or non-clients, the idea of this relationship management, really, they like that, right? They want that connection. I think to your point, they don't get that in most places. Most companies just, you call in, you hit some numbers, and no one's thinking about their business, right? So you're saying like we have the opportunity to think about their business,
Right.
and that's that trust, and that's why we have clients that stay forever.
Yeah.
They
Well,
stay so long with us. So yeah, getting into that. So where's this going? What are we evolving into? What's your vision for this?
as I've mentioned, we've had a lot of growth over the last few years. It's become crystal clear that we need to really solidify the next layer of relationship managers, but we can't all just do it on our own island as we did before. I can't, there's just 13, 14, 15 of us now to kind of either in that role completely or touching that role. Just dropping in the office and asking how someone's doing something doesn't work in the same way
Hmm.
it did before when we were smaller. So, kind of I've created, with the assistance of others, created this program in the last year. I kind of brought the need to some of the other shareholders, saying, "Hey, I think we need to formalize this a little bit more,
Hmm.
because I want to make sure what I'm telling a client in this situation um, is what the other relationship managers are telling
Sure.
us." So I thought the best thing for that is we need to have it's more than just meetings, but it's training sessions. And it'll generally be me and probably 9 or 10 of either, not all younger relationship managers. Some are brand new, some are experienced. We got Rick Patton, who's been here for a very, very long time. We have general dialogue of our clients. Are you having any issues? Do you have any questions you
Hmm.
want to bounce off? A lot of times it's hard, especially for a younger RM, to say, I don't know who to ask. Is this a stupid question? And so those conversations are really geared towards, there's no stupid questions. There are questions that we've all had in the past.
Hmm.
And so we have this great, really just dialogue of,
Hmm.
let's just chat. And so I've always found those have been very productive.
Hmm.
Those have been very productive. On top of that, there's a certain element of those meetings in which what we're really trying to do is aggregate um, policies, best practices, worksheets that people have come up with to, let's just, for instance, co-investment, which is just when a owner operator is buying a new restaurant, and they need to know how much to buy down the rent. And that can be kind of a complicated analysis. And I've created worksheets, and I know some others have in the past. So it's like, well, let's not have 4 different worksheets. Let's make this into just standard, a standard template that we can
Hmm.
use, and we can all share it. And then one of my favorite things also is really the kind of the last element of what these meetings are, and that's a training component. And so when I first started with relationship management, um, how we learned is we went on the road with Rick Patton.
Hmm.
Okay, that's kind of how you got the ropes. I mean, that's how you learn what to do. Unfortunately, Rick cannot do that with 9, 10 new
Hmm.
relationship managers. So, what I asked Rick to put together for us was like, "Hey, Rick, I learned from you. I went to meetings. That's how I conducted meetings. Will you do a training on a how do you prepare for a meeting? What do you bring to the meetings, client meetings? What are your takeaways? How do you conduct them? What questions are you asking?" And I think it was fantastic because he got to share that knowledge that he's learned and that he has made better. I mean, perfected over the years. I mean, all our clients say, "I love Rick. Like,
Right. Yeah.
these meetings with Rick are fantastic." Okay, well, let's replicate that.
Exactly.
So we've got he did the training, documented everything he does, everything from the travel aspect of it to the planning, the takeaways. Here's what you want to talk about. Bring up these new initiatives at the very end, bin align, all these things we got coming down. I mean, the whole process was fantastic. And even I, as many client meetings as I've had, I'm like, I've been missing out on doing those things. I've been missing out on doing
Hmm.
that. So that was one of our first trainings. And I think, to me, that was one of the best, because now our meetings are somewhat a little bit streamlined. Like,
That's
we're
great.
all doing that the same way. I love the training aspect,
Hmm.
and there's some more out there too, that I'll have planned. But I just think that if I can look at something that can help all of us grow
Hmm.
together cohesively, I think that just adds to the benefit
That's
of the
great.
program. Yeah.
I want to underscore something you said too, just people that might be listening, like the value that this RM program brings, right? Is like it's the power of the many, right? So it's like you mentioned that the team can gets together and shares things, and so I think that's very powerful. People know, like, you have a relationship manager,
Yeah.
but you have the power of a team behind that
Yeah.
to really solve the things. So you've got, it's like being on a sports team. Individual players are great, but it's the power of the team. And I think that building that is really beneficial for our clients.
Yeah, 100%, Mark. And one of the things as we go forward, we've had some discussions. How do we want to approach this going forward? Because I think one of the things that have created frustrations in the past, or not frustrations, but things that we can do better. as we bring on new clients, and even as we kind of go through our portfolio of existing clients, a lot of times they've got one relationship manager, but they might not know who that second person that they can go to outside of who they work with at payroll or AP or whatnot. And so as we go forward, we really want to have kind of a two contact system. You might have a primary RM or a shareholder or another RM on the account, but we really want to give our clients two options of someone that they trust from that relationship standpoint, because as happens in every business, there are retirements, there are people leave the firm,
Right.
and then you're kind of sitting there, and now you don't. From the relationship standpoint, we know what they do on the accounting side, we know what they do on payroll, we know what they do AP and sales tax, but we don't really know that relationship now. So having kind of two people at least familiar, you're going to have your primary, but at least familiar with the client. So if somebody leaves or something happens, then you can just step in, and there is not this gap in kind of reestablishing a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to. I know in some future we're going to talk to some of your relationship managers, and I want to thank you guys, your team, because from our marketing perspective, it's easy to go out and sell things and not knowing that you can deliver. And what's great is it's easy to sell something that absolutely is going to be delivered to clients. So I think it makes that job easier, and it makes why people should be joining us so much easier for them.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And one of the things that I've already noticed is, as we've had some of these newer relationship managers that have come in from the outside, there's two parts of this: understanding the work,
mm-hmm.
and you'd think that would be 90% of it. But that's 50% of the job. The other 50% is understanding the McDonald's.
Yeah.
And that in itself is a learning curve that really takes a lot of time, that you have to really understand also to be an effective relationship manager. So one of the things I've noticed from the perspective of, I say, a win, a success, is this group being able to really kind of share a lot of that knowledge in these conversations. I think it's getting them up to speed. I'm going to say exponentially faster than they would have been if they'd just gone the old route of kind of learning on the job as you go. This is, I think, expediting our ability for future growth, and it's creating just an apparatus of consistency and knowledge at a quicker pace.
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to see this continuing to grow, to be a part of that. Excited to see what you're going to do with this. I'm excited to talk to some of your folks.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I appreciate you coming today, Eric. If anybody has a questions like, what does a relationship manager do? How do I get one? You can contact us at the Breakroom at MizeCPAs.com. You can reach out to Eric or myself. We can certainly answer any questions. And it was a pleasure, Eric.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Okay.
I enjoyed it.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Mize Breakroom. If you watch this episode on YouTube, please like and subscribe so you never miss another episode. You can find the Mize Breakroom anywhere you can find podcasts. If you like what you heard, please rate and review the podcast 5 stars. Looking for more information? You can find us on most social media platforms at Mize CPAs. Thanks for listening, and see you next time in the Breakroom. The Mize Breakroom is produced by Mize CPAs and hosted by Marc Swearengin. Mize CPAs is not a law firm and does not provide legal advice. The information shared in this podcast is for general information purposes only and is not intended to constitute legal or technical accounting, tax, consulting, and/or professional advice that may apply to your specific business. The listener is encouraged to consult counsel and/or their accountant before making decisions or taking any action concerning the matters in this communication to address the recipient's particular facts, circumstances, position, business considerations, or other unique relevant matters, as well as to evaluate any applicable federal, state, or local laws.